I don't want to start talking until you guys can hear me because the information that I have to give you guys is so good. Thank you, Twisted by V. Okay, so now I can have this conversation with you guys. First and foremost, welcome to the live. I am Dr. T. The page is Between Lovers. I am a clinical psychotherapist, a clinical sexologist, and I'm a mom. So I wanted to kind of share some things with you guys. I know the topic today is about childhood. It says that you guys can't hear me. I hope you guys just keep checking in and letting me know you can hear me. If at any point you guys cannot hear me, please let me know. So I'm sitting in here earlier and I had a real thought about childhood and relationships. So I don't know how many of you guys deal with, in your childhood, your parent might have been aggressive with you, might have been abrasive with you. And right now, you guys might not have a great relationship. So as I was having a conversation earlier, something dawned on me, right? I'm talking to two individuals who are young and they're in a relationship, and we were talking about just kind of having children, right? At some point they would like to have kids. And so one mentioned how she wanted to have sons. And at one point she didn't want to have daughters. And she didn't want to have daughters because, there had been some not so great things that happened in her family's story. With the women in the family, they hadn't become something that she wanted to become. You understand me? And so she had this negative connotation of women, so she didn't want to have a daughter for that reason. And so she felt like that was a trauma response, but didn't think that having a son was a trauma response for her. So she says, I want to have a son because I want to be able to give him the thing that he really wants. And so I said to him, this is not about a gender of a child. Think about why you want to have a child. So this conversation is about becoming a parent is not just about wanting something to love. A lot of people are having children out of a trauma response. They're having a child and they want this person to love them more than anyone in the whole world, to have this allegiance to them, to be loyal to them, to be faithful to them. But you can't have a child for that because these are humans that are going to live their own life. So what I recognize is a lot of people that are, I'm going to say under 50, I'll say. People under 50 are in this space of having trouble with how to get out of their childhood trauma. So I'm hoping that what I'm about to talk to you guys about does give you guys some help. It does shift your narrative about your parents. It shifts your narrative about yourself. I'm hoping that this particular live today changes lives for the better. Okay, so if you've just gotten here, I am Dr. T. Welcome to the live. We're going to get into a little bit of childhood trauma and a little bit of energy. We're going to talk not a little bit of energy, a lot of energy. Okay, so let's say you're one of the individuals who's trying to deal with your childhood trauma right now, trying to deal with your relationship trauma. And you might likely be going through some semblance of a spiritual awakening, trying to find yourself, trying to dismantle everything you think you knew. You might be trying to figure out what you believe. But understand that all of us are living a different reality. So don't get too caught up in that, okay? All of us are living a different reality. You yourself are living a different reality. Every time you think of something that you want to change for your life, you shift your own reality. You understand me? Okay, so just remember that. Our energy is super important to this conversation. All right, so let's say you are one of those people who is having a difficult time with your parents or coming out of your childhood trauma. Either your parents are alive or they're not alive. It's still a situation where you're impacted in a negative way by your parents. And so now you may or may not be parents. But let me offer this. For the group of you who are not parents yet, and the group of you who are choosing not to become parents because of trauma, let's talk for a second. When you decide to have children, pay attention to why you want to have children. Don't just want them, like I said, because you want something to love you or someone to love you, because they're going to have to leave you at some point. You understand? We're having our children, and we have to have the understanding that we're supposed to help them grow in the world and live their life interdependently with other people, not us. We're not supposed to have our children to fulfill our wildest dreams. We're not supposed to have our children to do what we were incapable of doing in this life. We are not supposed to live vicariously through our children. That puts too much pressure on people. i.e., a lot of the people in here might have that same feeling, that it's too much pressure. It's too much for you to bear. So you might have been having conflict with your parent as a child. But you might not have noticed that it was conflict as a child, right? This is creating your belief system. So let's take the time when you're really little, right? From like birth to, let's say, 6. From birth to 6, you might be like the apple of your parents' eye, you know? They would move heaven and earth for you. They love you so much. And let's be clear, this conversation is not about love. It's really about energy and understanding of parents and understanding of the parent-child dynamic. All right, so between birth and 6, you might be the apple of your parents' eye. But at this time, they're teaching you things to keep you in line. So you're being put in line by your parents in some way, shape, or form. And between 0 and 6, as long as you're doing the things that are pleasing to them, they're happy. Now, this is not something that many people are aware of. But between 0 and 6, you're less likely to do things that are going to cause some type of discomfort for your parents. Okay? So at this time, they will move heaven and earth for you, and they're enamored with you, right? Because this age, you don't know yourself yet. You're not questioning anything yet. But there's going to come a time when you're about 7 to 12, you know, when some minimal pushback starts to occur. And so the parents are then now letting you know what's displeasing to them. You understand? So their discomfort with you getting older and beginning to go through puberty is making them uncomfortable because you're questioning their authority. You understand? It feels like, because you have an opinion about something, it's feeling to them like you're questioning their authority, you're questioning their ability to be a parent. So now it feels like a bit of a challenge, even when it's not. Because our kids are supposed to help us become better in this life. They're supposed to question things. We're parenting from how we were parented and what we see around us. So it's not even about what people's parents are saying to them. It's not often just about what you're seeing as a child. It's about the energy of the household, the energy of your parents. It's what's driving you to have an understanding about how you should behave in relationships and with your child. So for those of you who don't yet have children, this is the best time in the world to sit with this information, because you can think that you're doing better than your parents because you make more money or you're more successful or you're actually going to therapy, but you might not recognize that a key piece of healing from a therapeutic perspective is shifting your energy. Because words can lie, behavior can even lie, but energy cannot. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and we are energetic beings. So if you think that you've cheated the algorithm and you've made out better than other people have made out, or you've made out better than your parents because you have more tangible things, you have more material items, you think that you're doing better than the people that raised you. So your judgment is kicking in because now you've supplied for yourself a better life than they've supplied for you. And even those of you who grew up in a nice environment with a lot of material goods, and even if you're financially wealthy, a lot of people that are financially wealthy are causing hella trauma for their kids, and they're traumatized because in their mind they're saying, okay, well, I'm giving my kids all these things, they're having a good life, so they should be grateful. But you think your kids should be grateful to you for supplying a good life for yourself. You've supplied a good life for yourself, and so since that's what you would have wanted as a child, you believe that your kids should want that and be grateful to you for providing it. But they don't know any different. All they know is, in this space right here, this is my life. I'm born into this life of privilege. That's what you're calling it. It's privilege. So I'm trying to understand that, okay, you say this is privilege, so I should say this is privilege. So I should be appreciative of what you're supplying for me, even though I didn't ask for it. I should be appreciative of it. So here you are, you have these parents that can supply all of these material things, right? So they feel like the kids should be appreciative of that thing that's being supplied. And then you have the kids saying, you brought me in this world, this is the life you supplied for me, I don't know any different, I don't know to sit here and be super grateful for this is the only life I know. So what this kid is actually asking for might be something that the parent is not providing. Because all of the time that they're spending to make the material goods, the kid might be missing something emotionally or physically They might really want their parent to be there, not just to be physically in there, but to be present, mind, body, soul, and spirit. Your kids are asking for you to be present, mind, body, soul, and spirit. But you're not thinking about giving your kid mind, body, soul, and spirit because nobody gave you mind, body, soul, and spirit. And they may not have given you what you needed from a financial perspective. Maybe you didn't get the material goods that you felt like were important as a kid. So then you grow up and you build this empire for your kids, or at least it's more than you had as a kid, and you're giving it to your kid. So now you're thinking in your mind, though, how dare they do this? How dare they not be grateful? I did everything for them. I gave them everything, but you might have given them everything except for what they asked for. And so I think that's where a lot of the trauma is coming from in adults. I think it's that the energy is what's moving us, right? So let's say you're not saying any of these things in the space with your kid. Let's say you're not actually behaving in a way that seems chaotic. Let's say you actually have a home that might be quiet, right? But what if you're just silently struggling? What if you are dealing with anxiety and depression? Well, your kids, they feel that, right? So your kids are taking on the energy that you're putting out. So if your kids are taking on the energy that you're putting out, and now you're like, well, I don't know why they're acting like this. I don't know why they're so anxious or depressed or why they're being so mean. They get everything. They shouldn't feel like this. They're in here being ungrateful. But they don't know what they're being is ungrateful. You're telling them they're being ungrateful, but this is the only life they know. You've provided for them. What they know is that they're feeling that you are not happy. They're feeling that you are not pleased. They're feeling that your soul might feel a little broken. They're feeling like, okay, they know that they're feeling anxious and depressed, right? But they might not know why. So if you're out there and you're asking your kid why they're anxious or depressed, or you're asking yourself why you're anxious or depressed, a lot of that, honestly, is because the energy cannot be cheated. The energy that you're surrounding yourself around is creating this feeling inside of you, and it's making you feel either worthy or unworthy. And you can't figure out why these things are causing such upheaval because you're not hearing anything. You're not seeing anything different. You're thinking that life is good because what you see and what you hear is okay. But if everybody around you is lying about how they're feeling, they're only pretending to feel good, pretending to look good. A lot of people are walking around fine as hell, nice car, nice job, great credit, great bank account, just doing amazing on black and white. Like the paper looks good, the resume looks good. All of these tangible things look good, but what's sitting in their soul? What are they actually dealing with on the inside? You can't cheat that. And since you can't cheat that, you got to understand that whatever you're feeling inside of you, your kids are the closest thing to you. You know, they try to tell people that when you get married or when you're in a relationship and you have kids, the bond between the man and the woman supersedes the bond with the kids. No. The bond that's created in all of that, because we're adults. We're adults. We're responsible for these children. We're responsible for their mind, body, soul, and spirit until they can become responsible for themselves. And even when they become responsible for themselves, we've been given the authority. We've been God-gifted this gift to become parents. And we're borrowing these souls. We're borrowing these lives. We don't get to keep our children forever. At some point, we're going to go. At some point, we're not going to be here anymore. And if we fail to prepare our children for our death, we are failing as parents. But you also have to be able to be here for your children. So if you have parents who they don't have the energy to give to you, they might have the money to give, or they might even have the words to give you. But if their soul is breaking inside of them, if they're feeling miserable, if they don't know how to share with you guys, thank you guys. If they don't know how to share their very essence with you, if they don't know how to be true to themselves, they cannot give you what they do not have. So many people are walking around mad at their parents. They're giving you everything they have. You think that somebody wants to have a child only to be able to be nothing to them? Even if you have parents that, if this was a one-night stand situation, this was a terrible situation, the mother is still making a decision to bring you in this world. The father has his seed is here. The mother's egg is here. They get together. And then the mother does God's work of creating this being inside her body. Her very life force is making this human being. So many of us feel destroyed by our mothers and fathers. But in this one moment, everything in the universe conspired to bring you here. So those people that brought you here, even in their worst case scenario, those people that brought you here, you're here by design. I lost 2 children. Do you understand that every baby that people desire to be here does not make it? So I'm telling y'all that many people's parents have done some devastating and catastrophic things. It's them. It's them. Your parents have not had a chance. Your parents have not had a chance to work through things on a cellular level. You understand me? Like, even if you think that you can cheat the algorithm, oh, I've been to therapy, oh, I've done this, oh, I've done that, but you have not checked your energy at the door. You have to check your energy. You have to feed yourself the pleasure of learning yourself. And you can't think that, well, I'm just going to go talk to my parents and tell them how I feel, and they're going to get it. They might not. They might not, because they're trying to provide a life for you that they didn't have for themselves. You think they don't feel like a failure when they can't give that? You know, oftentimes men and women are in these strange spaces, right, where the man is feeling like, today I just heard it. The man said, I feel like time is just kind of standing still. Like, people are saying it's moving fast, but it feels like it's just kind of standing still. And then the woman says, it's kind of opposite for me. I feel like it's moving really fast. Let me tell y'all why. This is the best life for you to be in right now, guys. I promise you. If there is no other life for you to be in right now, I hope that this information breaks chains for you guys. I hope that this information changes your lives in a way that you never anticipated changing you guys' lives. But, so she says that she feels like time is moving really, really fast. He says that he feels like time is moving slow, but they don't have any children. Thank you, but they don't have any children. So I said to them, they're preparing to get engaged, right? They've been thinking about it, and they're trying to build their young lives. They're in their late 20s, so they're trying to build their late lives. And so I said to him, as he is contemplating preparing for marriage, in his mind, time is moving slow because he's thinking about all he would need to provide for his incoming family. He's thinking that he needs to provide for a wife and a child, potentially 2 or 3. You never know how many kids you're going to have until you conceive them, right? And so, or until you give birth to them. So he's thinking about these things, and it feels safe to him to think that time has stopped. Time has not stopped, but it makes him feel a little comfortable to believe that time has stopped so that he can prepare to support himself and a wife and a child, or however many children come along. Now, she believes that time is moving faster because guess what? Her biological clock is telling her it's time to become a parent. So it's speeding her up. He feels like it's slowing him down, but guess what's creating the information for them? What's being created for them is their energy. So they're not saying this to one another. He's not saying, I'm a little scared about this. I love you. I want to marry you. I'm terrified to become a husband and to potentially become a father because I have so much on my head and my heart. I have to think about what it is that I'm going to be able to do to support my family. And so she's over here thinking about her biological clock ticking and the potential that it could run out. So there's a lot of pressure in these dynamics when it comes to men and women thinking about getting married and birthing a child together. So their concerns are both important, but they're not voicing the concerns because they don't think the other one's going to understand, because this one's man and this one is woman. So they think that the other one's not going to understand. But you see, this is where the joy happens. This is where the bond enhances the relationship. You got to talk about those things because, again, you can't cheat the energy. So where, he's not talking about his fears. She's not talking about her fears. They're now creating this energetic trauma here that is being passed on that they received from their parents. So now the epigenetics from here are passed down to them, and now they're creating new epigenetics for their kid. So I'm telling you all of this because when it comes to our parents, even if you try to go and sit down and talk to them about everything you're feeling, even if you take this conversation right here and you aim to regurgitate it with them, they might not understand because they might feel like they've given you everything they could possibly give. If your parents are not giving you something, it's because they don't have the capacity to give it to you. And even if you think, well, they're giving it to somebody else, that somebody else is not you. Each and every one of us has an impact on our parents. And sometimes that impact can be so sharp that they can feel embarrassed that they cannot provide you with the life they know you deserve. They could find themselves embarrassed that they don't have enough strength inside themselves to get themselves together for you because they don't love themselves enough to get themselves together for them. You understand? So I know so many of you guys are mad at your parents, but so many of us parents are creating trauma for our kids from being mad at your parents still. So just try to grant a little bit of grace. I'm not telling you to have this conversation with your parents if you don't want to. What I am telling you is that the longer you hold that energy inside of your being, you're passing that energy on, and it's making you make decisions that you otherwise would not make if you didn't have that trauma energy on you. Okay, I don't want to keep you guys all Saturday afternoon. Thank you for coming in here. Thank you for joining. Do you guys have any questions? I want to make sure that I'd like to talk about this again with you guys because I think one of the biggest issues, we have all of this, thank you, we have all of this information. The information that I'm sharing with you guys is not anything that I learned in my textbooks in school, not my clinical psych program. I would say my doctorate in philosophy probably did give me the most energetic feeling, right? Because philosophy teaches you about love. It's like the study of love and understanding what love actually is. We've made love so transactional. We've made love this thing where if you do something wrong, I'm going to take it away from you. So now everybody is on high defense around love. You don't get to choose who you love. Like our love is this thing that it just happens, right? And we need to behave this way with one another. Even people you see in the street every day, people are walking around entirely too angry. People are walking around with chips on their shoulder. They're stressed. They're depressed. People are wondering how school shootings happen like this because these are children. What we just talked about a second ago is energy being transferred into these kids. So even if you create this good life and you put them in good neighborhoods with great schools, the energy that you're giving to your kids might be dark energy. If your heart is broken, or if you're feeling like your heart is broken, you're exchanging that energy with your kid. And now your kid has got to go in school with all these other kids who has some similar energy because their parents have similar energy. And so you put them all in this building and you're creating these elementary, these middle schools, these high schools, and these colleges that are like boiling pots of water. And at some point what's been happening is the pots are boiling over. This is how our kids are imploding. This is what's happening with our babies. And this situation that's happening with children, adolescents, and young adults affects every last one of us. We, my generation on up, we have to take responsibility for this. We have to take responsibility for this because our energy, we're all connected. We might be physically individuals, but on a soul level, we are one. This is why when we watch TV and we see these babies dying on these TVs from their school shootings, our hearts feel broken. There's a part of us that feels powerless when we're watching this on the TV. But we are not powerless in here. All of us have to get our energy together. We have to get it together. We have to start checking the trauma that's in our energy. It's not just about how many cars you have, the bank account you have. It's not about your credit score. It's not about the home you live in. It's not about your designer labels. It is not about that. It is about what you are feeling inside of your soul. It is about how you're walking in the world and what energy you are giving other people because you're passing energy on. With every person you meet, you are exchanging energy out here. If we're going to change this world for the better for these babies, we got to get ourselves together. We are responsible for this mess. We are responsible. So I'm trying to explain to y'all, sit down with whether you're having trauma energy. And if you guys just got in this live and you missed some of the information that I gave out about trauma energy, I will have another live. Maybe I'll do it next week sometime. But if you guys have a preference, go ahead and send me a message or comment on here and let me know if you guys have a preference of day and time. I am on the East Coast, So yeah, just let me know a time that might work better for you guys if you want to talk about trauma energy again. But I just want to let you guys know we are each one teach one. Again, we're individuals from a human perspective, in these skin bags, in this perspective. But from a soul level, we're all responsible for each other. So I'm telling you guys, I understand that so many of us have had wounds from our parents. I understand that so many of us are still wounded and passing that on to our kids. What I'm saying in this moment, is to grant grace to everyone who has put some pain on you, who has put some trauma on you. Please, I am asking you to take a step back and realize that you are not powerless. You are not powerless. Not only do you hold all the power, you hold the power for you and for many others around you. Just acknowledging that you have the ability to say to yourself, you know, I wasted enough time. Time is going to leave us whether we want it to or not. But time always gives before it takes. Don't be ungrateful out here. Don't be ungrateful out here. If you are sitting here right now and you had the opportunity to live a better life, take that opportunity. Stop wasting your life on being angry. Stop wasting your life on being sad. If you look at your parents' life or other adults around you and you don't like the life that they are living, why would you want to repeat that? That the joy in experiencing this life here is not simply in having a lot of material goods. It is absolutely in having peace in your soul. It is absolutely, we should use events to find days and not days to find events. Very true. I'll take that under advisement. Thank you. But there's so much to unpack here. And you know, there's so much to unpack here. I didn't want to miss this on you guys, right? Because I think we're living at a time where so many more people can afford to give themselves and their children so much more. But sometimes the impact of a parent's energy in a home or a person's energy in a home gets missed when we have so many material goods. We get the idea that the material goods means that I made it, I'm successful, I've done it all. But if you wonder why you still feel some level of emptiness, even when you have these material goods, you wonder why you're still feeling some semblance of empty or lost. It really is simply because your energy is sitting down here in its lower frequencies and is telling you that you are not enough no matter how much stuff you acquire. That you will not have peace no matter how much stuff you acquire. So working through your trauma energy is going to give you the best chance at happiness, the best chance at joy, the best chance at love. And it's going to help you in your relationships. You know why? Because it's going to let you know that you do deserve that love. You do deserve that safe relationship. So many of you guys are not showing up in your relationships that they might feel safe. They might be safe. But some of you guys are so terrified to be happy because happiness feels fleeting to you. Because your childhood told you that happiness is fleeting. So please, let's get to a point where we're choosing to uncover the things that some of us didn't realize this. Let me say that before I end this live. Some of us did not realize this is what it is. Some of us went to therapy. Some of us did their work. Some of us did our work. And yes, I'm always going to say us when I'm talking about you guys too, because this is collective, right? This is collective. So when I'm talking about this piece for all of us, we would all genuinely be happier if we all started digging in this lower register to bring up this trauma. But the reason we don't know it's there is because we're taught that it's not what we hear sometimes is what we see, or it's not what we see sometimes is what we hear. But we're missing that sometimes it's neither one of those. It's simply the energy, and this is the thing we're talking about. So I promise I'll do another live like this, and it'll probably be next week. So if you guys like the page or follow the page, I'll make sure I create an event specifically for this day that'll be coming up. But But yes, that trauma energy that I'm speaking of, that it's hard to identify because you don't know what it looks like yet. And no one's talking about energy enough to know what it feels like. Okay, so like I said, thank you guys for being here. I know it's Saturday. I'm going to let you guys go, but I just wanted to drop some of those tidbits on you. I am going to download this particular live and upload it to the page, so go ahead and please follow the live. If you haven't seen the other videos, go ahead and take a look at those. Welcome to the page. Welcome to the live. Thank you for spending time with me. It was my pleasure. Every time I learn something or have like an aha moment, I want to share it with you guys. So this for me, it wasn't taught in school. This was real life situation. This is me having gone through some childhood trauma, working with my parents, healing my family dynamic, getting married, having children, going through a divorce, and then finding myself, granting grace for my ex-husband, granting grace for my parents. This was real life that got me here to share these things with you guys. So I thank God for this journey. I thank you all again for joining me. So again, I'll download this live. So those of you who missed it, it'll be on the page. So again, happy Sunday. I love you guys. Bye. Thank you.